Okay guys, I need the train to Brest, platform 4, track 7A. Let's go, let's get our train. There we go. I often wonder, Belarus, what's the difference between a track and a platform? And it took me a long time to figure that one out. Okay, let's go. Welcome to Ivatsevichi, guys. Finally got here after a 2.5-hour journey. And where I'm staying tonight, I'm staying in the apartment of a subscriber. Куда мы пойдем? Это далеко?
15 минут.
Let's go. All right, guys, staying in a neighborhood near the center of Ivatsevichi. Typical Soviet apartment blocks. Rather nice inside, it has to be said. So, going to cheat a bit. Instead of taking the bus to Kosava, Kosava, I am instead going to take a taxi. Let's go. Спасибо большое.
Сергей.
Сергей, меня зовут Нил. Спасибо. До свидания.
Звоните.
Wow, guys, finally made it. I finally arrived at Kosava. As some of the locals say, Kosova. There it is. Kosava Castle. Incredible. Let's go and explore a bit more about this amazing castle. Wow, guys, and there it is, Kosava Castle. What a beautiful sight. Made in the Gothic style. And actually, this castle is actually quite new, and it was built on the ruins of the original castle, as the original one was destroyed during the Second World War. So on this site, in 1821, a very wealthy and powerful local family called the Puslovskis, in 1821 they purchased this site here, and they decided to build this amazing castle right here. And over there, if you can see, is the birthplace of the great Polish patriot Tadeusz Kosciuszko. Wow, so much history on one place. What a beautiful day it is today here in Kosava, which is about a 20-minute drive outside of Ivatsevichi. And if you're coming to Ivatsevichi, this is the place to go. Wow. I'm a big fan of Gothic architecture. So yeah, as I mentioned, the original castle was destroyed and it's now in the process of being rebuilt. Well guys, that was absolutely bloody awesome, to say the least. I never expected to come across a traditional Belarusian folk dance right here at Kosava Castle. And as I mentioned, this castle here was purchased and built by the Puslovsky family. They were a local Szlachta, local very powerful aristocratic family, and they ruled from here until the January uprising of 1864, when the locals rebelled against the Russian Tsar Alexander II, and the Puslovskis, they lost all this land and all this estate, and it was taken over by a Russian family called the Trubetskoy family. And it was the same January uprising that the famous Belarusian poet and rebel Kosciuszko took part in, and of course he was executed by the Russians. One can only imagine what it was like back in the day here. And the Puslovskis, when they ruled this place. Amazing. I love Gothic style. You see the battlements here in the towers. Wow. I wonder if it's open. We may go inside and see if it is. Alright guys, I've actually managed to blag my way in here. Talk to the lady, and she's given me permission to film inside this place. Wow. That there, that's the original model of the castle. Incredible. Of course, some of the local families. A Polish official. And of course, it's a famous song, Tadeusz Kosciuszko. These were the Puslovski family, local Szlachta. Wojciech Puslovski, that was the guy who founded the estate. Some of the artifacts we've seen inside and around the castle. The floor is actually, everything has been reconstructed. So the floor is lacquered. Wow. Some of the original artifacts of the castle. There we go. So this is the castle during the Polish period here in Belarus between 1919 and 1939. The original castle. And during the First World War, Kosava Castle was actually the headquarters of the Austrian and German troops here. Have a look at the ceiling. Wow. Everything has been completely reconstructed in this room. Unfortunately, there are only 2 rooms available here in the castle, since the entirety of the castle is currently under construction. Wow, this is the castle back in the heyday, 1820s, 1830s. And as we can see here, some of the original artifacts from the castle. Some fragments from the palace. There must have been a hinge from a door. Спасибо. До свидания. Well, there it is, guys, in all its reconstructed glory. I can only imagine when this is finally done, it'll return back to its heyday. Amazing. Fantastic. Even though it's only about 2 rooms, still, it looks impressive from the outside. Hopefully it'll be done very, very soon. We can all go in and admire its splendor. This is Tadeusz Kosciuszko, perhaps Belarus's most famous son, a hero on 3 continents and a hero of America, Lithuania, Poland and Belarus. And also there's a mountain in Australia called after this guy. Yeah, and he was born right here on this site in 1746 as part of an estate in that house right there. Or anyway, it's a reconstruction of the original house. The original one is actually burnt down by the Soviet partisans in 1942 during the fighting in the Second World War, or the Great Patriotic War. And Tadeusz Kosciuszko was born, he wasn't born into a very wealthy family, and in order to be educated he had to be sponsored. In that times there was no such thing as free education, so if you wanted to be educated you had to get sponsored by this, like this man here. And Tadeusz Kosciuszko ended up in America, of all places, and it's there where he made his name during the American War of Independence, or the Revolutionary War, as the Americans like to call it. And it was there at the Battle of Saratoga in 1777 where Tadeusz Kosciuszko refined his engineering skills and saved the Continental Army from defeat by the British. And it was that battle alone that turned the war, that turned the tide of the war against the British towards George Washington's men. Remember guys, if it wasn't for Tadeusz Kosciuszko, we wouldn't have had Yorktown, and maybe today the United States, or it might be a completely different country. But Tadeusz Kosciuszko is perhaps more associated with Poland. He actually wasn't an ethnic Pole. On his father's side of the family there were Lithuanians and Ruthenians. On his mother's side of the family they're also Ruthenian, or some people might say Litvan. But his family became Polonized sometime around the 16th century, and he identified himself as Polish. He's a national hero of Poland, Lithuania, Belarus and the United States. And he was born in humble beginnings like this. What an amazing life he led. But Tadeusz Kosciuszko led the famous Polish uprising in 1794 against the Russian army. He was born during the time of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, and by the 1790s Poland and Lithuania was getting swallowed up by Russia, Austria and Prussia. And so in 1792 he led his armies against the Russian army, and the Battle of Dubyanka in 1792, outnumbered 5-1, he defeated the Russian army. I think that's alone, that is absolutely epic. What a guy. Let's take a trip inside the house to find out more about this extraordinary person, and one of my personal heroes too. We are guys inside a reconstruction of his house. There he is, the great man himself, hero of Poland, with the Polish plast, Polish eagle. Okay, don't sit on that. His family, and Tadeusz, going way back. As I mentioned, when he was born in the Polish-Lithuanian Confederation, we have the Grodno Gubernaya, 1820, just during the Tsarist times, when it came under control of Imperial Russia. And that's what it looked like originally. The building. A reconstruction what his room looked like. Because you have George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, two presidents he served under. And of course, Alexander Suvorov, commander of the Russian armies during the Russian-Polish Wars, 1792, 1794, his arch nemesis. Not a well-known fact about Tadeusz Kosciuszko, that he helped design West Point. And West Point is the major training college for the United States Army. Some pre-war, interwar Polish zloty. There's a modern zloty there. Thomas Jefferson, in paying tribute to Tadeusz Kosciuszko, said of him, "I've never met such a finer son of liberty than Tadeusz Kosciuszko." Tadeusz Kosciuszko detested slavery. In his will that he left, the money, the back pay promised from the United States, in his will he said that it'd be used to free the slaves. He disapproved and condemned the keeping of slaves, black slaves, by the white elite of the United States, Thomas Jefferson and George Washington. He also detested monarchy. He was a committed Republican, and he believed in the rights of man, one vote. For me, Tadeusz Kosciuszko symbolizes freedom, and I think in the land of his birth, his message is more relevant today than it was back in 1792. What an extraordinary man. Pay tribute to the hero of Poland, of the United States, of Lithuania, of Belarus, Tadeusz Kosciuszko. Oh, check this out. I'm actually, while we were going back towards Ivatsevichi, I'm actually inside the church. Well, this church was built in 1877. It's a local Catholic church. And on this site, there was an earlier church where Tadeusz Kosciuszko was baptized. In this church, on this site, in 1746. And it was on this stone here that he was baptized on. And actually, this, by the way, is the baptismal cert. 12th of February, 1746. Спасибо большое. I've reached the end of my journey here in Ivatsevichi. It's time to move on to some new place, wherever that may be. So join me on another trip to the provinces. Where I'll go from here, no idea. Probably will be a last minute decision. All right, that is it. I've got a train to catch, and I shall see you sometime soon. So from Ivatsevichi, do widzenia, Kalilaska.